Oh, no.
I'd like to call the regular meeting of March 24th, 2014 to order. Could I have roll call, please?
Mr. Cooter is absent, excused. Ms. Bowles?
Here.
Ms. Kraut?
Here.
Mr. Thied?
Here.
Ms. Funderburg? Here. Ms. Beard?
Here.
Ms. Buckley is here.
Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. Also, if there's anybody that, there's our one person that's here tonight, and this is Wes. If anybody wants to address the board, there's forms in the back to be filled out too, and just pass them out to the secretary for comment. Item A on the consent agenda is to approve the minutes of the Board of Education of the regular meeting of March 10th, 2014, and special meeting of March 17th, 2014. B, approval to approve the personnel actions as submitted by Rebecca Peck, Director of Human Resources, employment of a special education teacher at Romulus High School, resignation of a 6th grade self-contained teacher at Romulus Middle School, a speech teacher at Romulus Middle School, retirement of a Cafeteria 1 worker. Item C, approval to approve the bills of payment as submitted by Anna Bosides, Interim Director of Business and Operations, in the amount of $813,305.14. I have a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
I have a motion by Mrs. Funderburg, supported by Mrs. Kraut. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The next item on our agenda is report of the superintendent. Mrs. McNally, please.
Good evening, everyone. The first item on the agenda is the E-rate technology bid, and I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca Peck.
Rebecca and Anna and I are going to tag team on this one. Anna put the numbers together, but if you remember from previous years, each year we come to you and ask for an E-rate approval. E-rate is a federally funded technology infrastructure grant that is based, your allocation is based on the amount of free and reduced lunch your district has. We put in for it every year because in order to receive it, you have to put in for it a full year in advance. So this project would go on a year from now, would begin a year from now if we are approved, and it would come before the board if we were to receive the E-rate funding. It would come before the board for you to decide if you want to move forward with the project or not. This specific technology project is for wireless infrastructure throughout the district. Right now, our middle school has what we call, it's called Beehive technology. It's the brand name of the product. So I can kind of envision all these little bees buzzing around. We would like to expand that into a district-wide wireless solution.
Where is it currently at, the Beehive?
It's at Romulus Middle School as
Okay.
a result of the SIG grant.
Okay.
If you notice on the resolution as well as the purchase agreement, that this is a conditional purchase agreement.
Madam Chair, I have a couple, well, actually, one question. Of course, we've had a technology director before that kind of supervised a project, that supervised a project like this. How are we managing installation and who's gonna be in charge of that? Are we kind of relying on Wayne Risa to do that for us, or how is that happening?
Yep, so as part of the partnership agreement that we have been using with Wayne Risa, this would also be included under that, so there would be no additional technology charges, if you will, if we did decide to go forward with the project. They would oversee that project for us.
Okay.
The only question I have is usually, it looks like normally the district portion is 30%, but it's saying that our amount would be like 10% after reimbursements.
Right, and it's based on free and reduced lunch, so if we hit that 90% free and reduced threshold, then we'll come back to you and say, okay, do you want to go forward with the project?
So the 10% would be if we reach 90%.
Correct.
What percentage are we at now again?
As a district, we are at
Like
86,
86? Wow, okay.
but there are buildings that have reached that 90%, but as a district, as a whole, we are at 86%.
Wow, okay.
So in previous years, Mrs. Kraut, our free and reduced lunch numbers have been going up year after year. They also move the bar, though, as to when they fund it, 90%, 92%, 88%. That's a constantly moving bar with the federal government as well.
And the only thing that we as a district would be paying would be the $14,500, well, not to exceed
Right,
that.
right.
So that's kind of like our out-of-pocket expense.
Correct. We would be getting over $100,000 worth of service or with the products, but we'd only be paying the 14.5.
Okay.
And that's in our budget?
And what will this do for our buildings?
This would allow us to support a wireless infrastructure. Right now, we're kind of pieced together at the high school and at our elementaries, and even here. I just reset our our Wi-Fi, hopefully that you guys know. Okay, we're having issues as we bring new wireless technologies on board, and students bring their their technologies and iPads. We're having a hard time supporting them at the
Right.
district level.
Because there's so many on there.
Right, right.
Now, I know we talked about this years ago, but what is the likelihood or like eliminating textbooks and maybe eventually providing like a tablet to a student if we have this Wi-Fi, because everything can be brought up, onto a tablet, like all these, any books that we use. Yeah, I mean, there'd have to be a company out there that if they sold so many, we'd have to get a discount, and would that offset the, savings of textbooks?
Right.
And
this-
buying textbooks every so
Right.
often.
And this infrastructure sets us up to even start having those discussions. I would love to move into that. As you know, we have not had a textbook recycle or replenishment cycle in quite a while now. But when we get to that point where we're ready to start bringing that back in, I'd love to be able to have that conversation with this type of infrastructure in
And would you
place.
think, would there be technology grants available for, grabbing those tablets or anything with companies out there that we
I
know
think
of?
that,
yeah, there
I think,
is.
I think is,
Yeah.
it's all dependent on what's available at the time, but yeah.
And you said that the actual project won't be happening until, we're talking like 15, 16 school year,
This
or
is, I believe it's the 14, 15.
also
We have
next,
to apply,
in the fall?
I have to submit this on Wednesday.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be for the 14-15 school year. It would be at this time of year.
So,
So it would still be in the 14-15 budget, but we wouldn't even receive approval. I don't think the E-rate approval would come in
Until
until.
next year from now.
Right.
So we're saying that we wouldn't even see that type of, the actual work being done until, we're talking a couple of years out.
Probably a year out.
Okay.
I mean, if we got approved for this and we had the budget for our piece of it and we wanted to move forward with it, we'd probably do the work over the summer.
Okay. Well, just an update once we get to that threshold.
Do we know how many people or how many students actually use their technology now in the classrooms to see if it's even worth us doing it at such a broad range? Do we know?
We don't have a way to measure that.
but you did say they're using tablets now.
We do
We
have our
use,
elementary.
we use our own
sure.
technologies in the classroom. We've got at least 800 iPads and Kindles now deployed throughout the district. We also have, and we can pull an inventory as we're bringing our Inkster our laptops, and those have Wi-Fi connectivity as well. We probably have over 1,300 devices right now, just that we own.
And that's what we can't support?
That's what, no.
Now, are students allowed to bring their own tablets in? Is that what you're getting at too? Yeah.
I think that there's
Or-
some that
or do
do,
we have a
but I think
policy?
a lot of them
I
use
don't think
their,
we do.
We don't have a policy.
Okay, well, I didn't know if we had cell phone policy, and nowadays it seems like we need cell phones.
Speak to
Go
that.
ahead.
Okay,
Right now, there isn't a formal policy. Usually it's asked to the administrators, and the statement is, you are more than welcome to use it to support your learning. However, liability is yours if it's stolen or broken. And I'd say, this is just a rough guess from having been at the high school. I'd say maybe 3 out of 5 teachers have what they call green zone times in their classrooms, where if they're looking up research or they're doing something, students are allowed to use their own cell phone or their own laptop or something to do that kind of stuff. The more research-based projects that happen, they are allowed, but it's nothing formal.
that's the key thing I was looking for, learning. That's, as long as they're doing it for learning. But like I think Tamika said, how do you gauge that? If I'm on Facebook or I'm learning?
Well, you have to go through, and I know you've experienced this here, you do have to log in to the network.
And you could be
now.
blocked from certain
You
sites.
are blocked, yeah, you're using,
We
yeah.
have firewalls
Firewalls,
that say.
right.
They can't get to
Yeah.
them. Well, they probably can.
But
we
it doesn't
try
mean
to
that they're
block 'em.
researching what they're supposed to be researching.
Yeah, but I mean, I like the keyword learning. I mean, I think eventually we need to look at something like that, and if we can get these for a good price eventually, and it saves, I know our textbook price has to be high, and with textbooks changing so often, and if we're replacing them, and there might be some initiative to that, when you graduate, you take that piece of equipment with you, because, I mean, we're probably have to update those every few years too, I imagine, because those will get outdated, but.
So all of the hardware that we have, are we using that hardware now? All of the hardware that we have, are we using it in the classes now?
We're gonna say no, because we received smart boards from Inkster, and that's still in the storage back here, so that we can put
Get them out.
So have you had any indication from any of the teachers or the principals of the building that are saying that they want to implement these specific parts of hardware into the instructional program for the
yeah.
coming year?
especially smart boards.
They want the smart boards, everybody wants a smart board.
So is something in place now? Because I'm just trying to make sure that, my whole thing is if it's not going to happen, if we have all this hardware and it's just sitting there, and we're not using it right now, and we're not talking about using it as of right now, what would be the sense of actually implementing a new structure where they have wireless all over the building if we're not using it right now? I'm trying to see if we can, is there a way that it's just, can we get by with what we have until we do get that? We figure out some sort of process of how long we're gonna be using these specific hardware that we have, and how the teachers are gonna be using them, and, how they're gonna share them back and forth, or is that something that we're implementing right away? Because that makes a difference on whether you wanna spend that extra money, to have that wireless all over versus just having it in one specific area, and we have it all over and then we don't use it until way back when, but yet we're paying for it ahead of time.
Yeah, so you're saying, has there been some sort of survey or something done?
Right.
In regards to
Right.
what the need is?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna speak from Rommel. I know that we have 80 iPads over there, and when a first grade class goes on to get onto their program, Study Island, let's say, that program, it'll close out because there's not enough bandwidth.
Okay.
That's how I'm reading it, that we
Right.
just can't support
Right.
what we
Right.
have. I mean, if we have 1,000 Kindles, it's like staying in a hotel. When all the hotel guests get onto the Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi's slow, unless you have a quick service.
And then you drop it,
Right. Which could probably, I would think that would interrupt learning time as well, because we
Yeah,
don't
if you're
have a
logged
signal
on.
anymore.
especially for the little ones, because then they have to log back in their log
Okay.
and passwords.
So, but then also too, something like that would come in handy with the NWEA testing that we're about to do. And then once the Smarter Balance is approved, that'll be computer-based as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And we can use
All of the assessments will be, even the special ed assessment, so everything will be online.
online.
Wow.
And
Okay.
our iPads, our iPads are compliant with Smarter Balance assessment testing standards if we have keyboards for them, which we're working on the procurement of that right now.
Okay.
Okay.
But we can't use them right now because we don't have an infrastructure to support it outside of Romulus Middle School for assessments.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we need a motion.
You want me to read this motion?
It's,
Okay.
for its pleasure.
Recommended motion, whereas Romulus Community Schools initiated a cost-saving competitive bid process by releasing the 2014-2015 Universal Service Fund USF E-rate request for proposal for eligible wireless network electronics projects, whereby Romulus Community Schools received one bid for each of the requested service. Whereas a comparison of each bid's proposed pricing to the state of Michigan, REMC bid pricing for the service determined that the proposed pricing in the bids is lower than the state of Michigan REMC pricing. Whereas for the wireless network electronics, the price being the primary weight factor 70% and the service provider reputation and experience with the district being the secondary factor 30%, Delta Network Solutions with a proposed price of $113,957.39 is lower. Oh, I am so sorry. I thought I turned that off.
Could have been breaking news.
It's lower than the state of Michigan REMC price of $162,796.27. Whereby the estimated district portion to be paid for the network electronics bid is $14,061.19 after USF E-rate reimbursements. Therefore, it is recommended that Romulus Community Schools enter into a conditional E-rate agreement with the listed service provider, and upon approval with the USF E-rate program, the Board of Education authorized the interim Finance Director to enter into mutually agreed contracts with Delta Network Solutions for the wireless network connections. And the rationale is technology infrastructure update, and budget implications at a cost not to exceed $14,500.
Support.
Discussion?
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Mrs. Funderburg. Mrs. Kraut.
Can we make that part of the motion, a cost not to exceed $14,500?
It's already in the motion. It's at the budget implications at a cost not to exceed $14,500.
But that's not part of the motion. I'm just saying, can we make that part of the motion?
Isn't that this $14,061? And it is, Sandy, but it said it does.
That's estimated, but I would like to make it clear that the most that I would look at is if it were 10%, not 30%.
So whereby the estimated district portion to be paid for the network electronic bid is not to exceed 14,500?
Right, just somewhere in the motion that it says it's not to exceed 14,000.
Okay, well, I'll amend the motion to say not to exceed 14,500.
Thank you. Support.
Did you get that, Anna?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, an amended motion by Mrs. Buckley to include the wording at a cost not to exceed $14,500, supported by Mrs. Funderburg. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. The next item is the student expulsion appeals decision. This is the student that was brought before us at the last meeting.
Need a motion?
Yes, please.
Move that the Board of Education concur with the decision of the interim superintendent and deny the appeal request for student 200-17422.
Question?
Okay, we got
Let's
it.
support with discussion.
I just want to make it known that I'm going to have to abstain from this one due to a conflict of interest.
I got a question also. I know at this hearing, the attorney requested that maybe he could go to another school. I mean, by doing this, if we uphold this, he has that luxury to apply?
No,
He has to withdraw.
not for 150 days, or is it 180
180
days?
days.
From our school, but,
They have to request that prior to the
okay,
expulsion.
gotcha. All right, because I know they were mentioning. Okay, I'm
It's too
good.
late, it's too late.
Yeah,
Okay, so I have a motion by Mrs. Funderburg, supported by Mr. Thied.
One more discussion.
Yes, Mrs.
But
Kraus.
after the 180 days, he would have the opportunity to possibly
You
come
can
back,
come back
maybe
for
in community high
reinstatement hearing.
school.
Right. Any other discussion? Okay. Again, I have a motion by Ms. Funderburg, supported by Mr. Thied. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Can I abstain too with a conflict of interest?
You know, a conflict of interest has to be, well,
How does that work? I don't,
you have to look at it, because I think there's a specific wording around conflict of interest. So we need to, Danielle, are you looking it up?
Trying to look up,
I know there's specific wording, I don't remember exactly what it is, but I know we had something in writing before. And sometimes it's not used just because we don't want to vote on something. That's,
okay, see,
I mean, it's not a relative.
I can't pull it up because of not having the internet.
I know, right?
Because I have Robert Rules saved on my iPad.
Can we get to it? And be difficult, but we need to do it the right way. Tamika wasn't in any of the discussion, so.
Okay, rights of abstention. This is Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. It's the most current version right here, 11th edition. Rights of abstention. Although it is the duty of every member who has an opinion on a question to express it by his vote, he can abstain since he cannot be compelled to vote.
That's all it says? It don't say anything else? 'Cause I know there was
By the
something.
same token, when an office or position is to be filled by a number of members, as it in the case of a committee or position on the board, a member may partially abstain by voting for less than all of those for whom he is entitled to vote.
I don't
Do
think
we
that's
follow
good.
Robert's rule?
It's a format.
Yeah, we
It's a
do.
format. I know we do, but
But I'm not sure
But there
what
are
our
some, I mean, we do
policy is.
have policies and things. I mean, you can abstain if you want to, but I know there's.
Because I know those people who
I
visit
do
that
too.
church.
Okay, so what we have, did we vote?
4-0,
Yeah,
so
we
you
did.
still have the
It was a four.
majority.
You know, to put, but sometimes, you know, if your other board members are out there, you're here to do, you
Right.
know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I'll,
Oh, here you go. Here's another part. No member should vote on a question in which he has a direct personal or pecuniary interest not common to other members of the organization. For example, if a motion proposes that the organization enter into a contract with a commercial firm of which a member of the organization is an officer, and from which contract he would derive personal persecutionary profit, the member should abstain from voting on the motion. So, however, no member can be compelled to refrain from voting in such circumstances. So if you feel like you have a personal relationship somehow with it, then you can abstain from voting.
So we have a four positive and 2 abstain, so the motion does pass.
but I
mean,
can
'cause-
see what you're saying. If I didn't know those people, I should vote based on what happened. And so in that instance, I would have to vote yes.
Because my thing is, I mean, I know half the people around us, and if I abstain from everything that I had to vote on, I would never be voting. So I feel like I gotta do my job. So that's just my personal
No,
opinion.
you're probably right.
Okay, so, but we've upheld the motion. So, 4 to 2, 2 being abstains.
The next next item is classrooms and kids, a resolution and budget proposal. And what this is that, we're, a group, they're looking at, rearranging the function codes to make it easier and for more funds to be given back to the classrooms and to the kids. And then if you read through the proposal, what it does is it puts more into the fund balance.
And there's additional letter also that you received in your packet, that MASB, MESA, a lot of the ISDs have put together that also explains basically that they're going to continue to use the existing funds and without raising taxes. The Classroom and Kids proposal provides more resources for children that will go directly to teaching and learning. And this is where resources are most needed to avoid overcrowded classrooms and retain vital programs. And basically, John and Danielle and I went to the Wayne County Association School Board meeting, was it Wednesday? Last Wednesday? Thursday. And the way it was explained to us was, okay, the governor has come out with his budget, and he has all of these categoricals listed. And there's money going into like best practices and money going into, I gotta look at the budget again. Money going into your fiscal emergency fund, your hold harmless assessments. And these are all individual categories. And a district would have to meet criteria in each of those areas in order to get any of that money. And a lot of times, not all districts qualify, so that money just sits there. So what they're proposing is putting all of these, basically putting all of these categoricals into a general fund, and a district would then have discretion of how to use their own money, is basically the premise of it.
So they're simplifying.
They're simplifying the budget itself. They're also asking us to approve this and join them with this resolution. And in doing so, MASB as well as Tri-Cities and the county, Wayne County RESA, they're going to include us, our name will be included in any not literature, but letters or anything that they do through the legislators showing that we support this classroom and kids budget proposal. This is only a budget proposal that they're trying to pass right now, so. I can read the resolution if you guys would like me to read the resolution before we take a motion. Okay. The resolution reads, a resolution in support of the classroom and kids budget proposal. Whereas Michigan Public Schools and the children we serve continue to face difficult economic and budget challenges, and whereas these challenges today have resulted in circumstances that directly and negatively affect our children's education, learning, and ability to compete for 21st century jobs, and whereas these negative circumstances range from more crowded classrooms, the elimination of critical programs, and reductions in basic supplies, among others, and whereas these school cuts are directly impacting children, parents, teachers, school staff, administrators, and the local community at large, and whereas we recognize that the best way to fix our local schools and to help our children learn is to restore full funding for our classrooms. And whereas statewide and regional educational organizations, including the Michigan Association of School Boards, working in partnership with parents, frontline educators, teachers, and others have now proposed a classrooms and kids budget that will restore full funds to kids in classrooms as a response to this challenge we face in education. And whereas the Classroom and Kids proposal includes providing $250 to $291 per pupil by eliminating certain categoricals, including programs that do not help our kids learn and that undermine local control. And whereas the Classroom and Kids proposal provides stronger funding for kids in their classrooms without raising taxes and redeploying existing funds. Therefore, be it resolved, The Romulus Community Schools support the classroom and kids budget proposal because we strongly believe in restoring funds to our classrooms so all children have an opportunity to learn and compete for 21st century jobs, and that local communities can maintain their voice in local issues affecting our public schools. And be it further resolved that Romulus Community Schools call on the Michigan Legislature and the Honorable Governor Rick Snyder to support and approve the classroom and kids budget.
Support. Oh, you gotta read the motion. Oh. You wanna read it? I'll read it, since I made the Move that the Board of Education adopt a resolution in support of the classroom and kids budget proposal as recommended by the interim superintendent.
I have a motion by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Mr. Theed, to accept the classroom and kids resolution and budget proposal. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Next item is approval for the renewal of contracts with School Financial Solutions LLC.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Education accept the recommendation of Rebecca Peck, Director of Human Resources, to approve the agreement between Romulus Community Schools and School Financial Solutions LLC for the 2014-2015 school year. The rationale is to potentially generate revenue by adding FTEs, which are full-time students.
Support.
And just as an explanation, this is a shared time program, and we also had a description of what is a shared time program. A shared time program consists of partnerships made with local private schools by School Financial Solutions to provide special courses for parochial students. State funding is obtained to pay for the program. Certified teachers provide instruction in electives which are not offered at the parochial schools, including Spanish, foreign languages, computers, music, band, art, physical education, introductory to technology, and other electives. And we actually get income from this. So I had a motion, I'm sorry, by
By me.
Mrs. Buckley.
Which actually last year we did show a profit.
I'm
By
sorry.
Danielle, second by me.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Funderburg, supported by Mrs. Buckley.
Yes.
Mr. Thied, did you have discussion?
No, I just said it showed that we had a profit last year. but-
Right, yep. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Then the next item is to bring to the board supervisors of grant and curriculum posting.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Education accept the recommendation of the interim superintendent and approve the posting for the position of supervisor of grants and curriculum. Support. Discussion, please.
Motion made by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Mrs. Funderburg. Discussion, Mrs. Buckley.
This is just, I'm glad we're doing this, number one, but I know this is from what we were talking about the death and us losing those funds, we need to use them. And so I think this is a good way to use those funds so we don't lose them, so. Glad to see it.
And also, Rebecca, can we get a breakdown of that, how much a grant will pay for it, if you can?
So,
For, as you do the bid process.
absolutely.
Don't have to be tonight.
So what Mrs. McAnally and I would like to do on this is to do a field study and find out exactly what it is that we do need. This is a draft posting. The actual posting might not end up looking like this, and we'll bring it back to the board for final approval. But we want to find out, kind of do a needs analysis or needs assessment. What do we need, and how are we going to pay for it? And part of that will be how much can be allocated from the various title funds.
Before we lose that.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Mrs. Funderburk.
When we do some of the responsibilities, who, right now, as far as the early college program, does that fall directly up under our counselor right now, or would this be a function that should probably fall up under the curriculum director?
Yes. Right now, the overall, the early college program falls under my office.
Okay.
Because I kind of took that ball and ran with it.
Okay.
In absence of a curriculum director or direct curriculum support. This would absolutely be an integral part of the curriculum.
Okay, because I guess it was a comment, was alignment to career and post-secondary supervision of the early college program, but then also making sure that the curriculum that we're dispersing throughout our district really kind of also takes into consideration what our job markets, what the emerging job markets are.
I have a question. I was looking at the posting and it said, what sentence is this? This includes the creation, and this is in the job summary area. It says this includes the creation and maintenance of an academic environment that promotes and supports the student achievement through effective implementation of curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And I was wondering, is there a way that we can, I don't know how to word this, so help me if I'm saying it wrong, help me say it the right way. Where the people that come to apply for this position, they can show proof of that. Because I was looking online and I just came up with an example. So if I'm wrong with my example, help me figure out where I'm wrong at. I was looking up the state of Michigan's curriculum standards, and I just chose just one of them. And I went to the high school one, and I chose the one that's for algebra. And so from my understanding, and like I said, help me, the curriculum oversees the complete curriculum for the district as a whole. So I said in my mind, I said, okay, if when I looked to the website, I saw one of the common standards for algebra was to interpret the structure of expressions, write expressions in an equivalent form to solve problems. So I said, okay, so I'm trying to get a better understanding of the curriculum director to ask for what it is that we can ask the people that come in and apply for the position, or when the human resource does the interview process, to show proof of what it is that they actually have done from other districts, as to be able to see how they can help our district in regards to how to compare between the two, like comparing us to Belleville or Westland. What have you done specifically that you can bring to the table to show proof of that? So in my mind, I said, okay, so if we were looking at the algebra standard and the curriculum director said, okay, I see that all of the some students seem to be below average in this area. And so I'm going to get with all of the teachers that teach algebra, and I'm going to ask them to come up with a way for us to come up with some sort of problem-solving application that would allow the students to be able to get online and be able to have an extra tutoring system for those that are behind. Like, they can log into it. And then from there, I don't know if we still have Zango. Do you all still use Zango? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if they use Zango, then they will be able to take those test scores that they implement into Zango. The Persian, I think it's a Persian and form. I think there's two different forms of Zango, and they'll be able to produce some type of data to be able to bring. So therefore, like if the interim curriculum came forth, they can say, okay, well, I saw that these specific students across the board were below average, and so I then got with the superintendent, then we got with the teachers and the principal, and then we assessed that specific area and came up with the specific data, and we showed improvement, showing that these students were here at one particular place and now they're here. How do we write that?
or how do we implement that into the actual posting to say that we want to be able to see what it is that you can bring forth to our district. You know, I was looking at, when I read that, I'm like, okay, that's great, but if I asked you to give me a portfolio or something, and an example of something that you've done, how do we write that in here? Because when I looked through here, I didn't see anything that really specifically would
Pull that out.
right.
Ms.
to
Bowles,
that-
How could, I
look
mean,
at number 5.
5,
I
6,
think-
7, 9,
yeah.
10, 15, 16, would that kind of
Those
be where
all come
Ms.
in
Bowles is
there.
going at?
Right.
Like, would they have to produce some kind of, because when I look at 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 15, and 16, it's kind of some of the things that
Right.
Tamika
Right,
talked about. So
right.
would they have, because it says, experience in this and experience in that, so do they have some kind of certificate on that? I mean,
Right.
Or is,
How
or
do you do
is it
that?
by, like, so many years in the area?
Yeah, I know I've served on a few of the interview committees that we've had, and oftentimes, one of the things that they use is, there's 2 parts to an interview process. So you have your candidate where you give them interview questions and they answer back, but then there's also a separate part where they get at a computer, sitting down, a scenario of what you just, so if they were given that particular scenario, how would you go about solving this particular scenario? And that becomes actually part of whether or not we want that person
Okay.
as the candidate. If they are come to that final stage of, yeah, we want you to come back and do a second interview.
So they do a practical-based assessment?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, will
What
that be
about-
stated in here?
What about number 5 if you changed it, and what about demonstrated experience?
Right, that's what I mean.
And just, number 5, just change that to be demonstrated.
Demonstrated?
Okay,
Tamika, did you hear that?
Did you?
okay.
They said demonstrated experience. Yeah, but they do that.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, okay, so how,
You
I
can-
don't
how
wanna
do you-
get,
how do
right,
you
because I don't
prove
want to
that they
just,
have- they're
exactly,
Yeah, so
It's like,
demonstrate.
yeah, you look good on paper, but
Right.
can you really do the work?
right.
And I would hope, as she said too, I mean, like, I think if you would have a grants and curriculum person, they would come in, I would hope, and meet with English teachers or history teachers, at least when they come in and, maybe ask their input on that curriculum, I guess, bring all the math teachers in for all the levels and, say, what can I do, the teachers are the ones that's in the field, and they would, to me, know better, I think,
I think you'd have to pull all those pieces together, actually see where we're at and pull all the pieces together to decide where we're going.
That's probably a good interview question, I guess, something you would do in your first
Right.
100-day plan.
We can also put in the interview process and in the posting that the interview process will include a review of your portfolio. That way we can get some demonstrated examples of, some more concrete examples of what it is that we're asking them to tell us what they do.
So if they've done grants in the past and done
Right.
curriculum, boom, they produce, this is what I
They would
brought,
have
this is
proof
what
of
I
that.
got, right, this is what I brought into this.
They should have proof.
Right.
And sometimes too, Tamika, in their packets that they submit with their resume, and a lot of times they'll have examples of what it was they've done in past districts on exactly what you're talking about, that you can kind of read, and then it gives, Rebecca
check
an
that too.
opportunity to kind of, pick their brain and find out where they are and how, are you really experienced? Or, yeah.
So we have a motion made by Mrs. Buckley and supported by Mrs. Funderburg.
One more question.
Yep.
What about the salary area? I see it says comprehensive benefit and leave package. What is that? Is it still set the same that it was?
Actually, what we're doing right now is we're giving them permission to look at what the needs are for this position,
Okay.
correct?
And then they'll come.
Okay.
That's right.
And then it'll come back to us.
Okay.
That was my question.
Is
Well,
Is
kinda
that
sorta
correct? It will
along that
come
line.
back to us?
This won't get posted until we have some of those issues resolved.
You said the
and we're
research
all-
you have to do.
Yes.
on-
And then
And
that
it
will
needs
come
an
back
It's
to
supposed
us
to
for
come back to us
approval.
before
Yeah,
they post.
and we'll
Okay.
make a recommendation of what we think the salary range can be, but again, that's to the pleasure of the board.
Yeah, well, that
Is
was
that
my
after
question.
the interviews are held, or you're talking about, this is
No, it'll be
before?
Right before they apply,
Before it's
imagine.
posted.
Yeah.
Right.
We want that information,
Yeah.
we want to know. We'll want to have that decided before it's posted.
Okay.
And so, can we expect this at our
That's what I was thinking. Give me at least two.
30 days.
2 meetings.
Yes. Okay.
2 meetings.
2 meetings. Okay. Because I do want to convene a party of stakeholders, including all of our department heads, our instructional leaders in the buildings.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so again, we have a motion by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Mrs. Funderburg, to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the posting for the position of supervisor of grants and curriculum. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
I think that ends fine.
Okay.
Send Charlotte and Harry.
The next item on our agenda is communications and expressions from the public. Does anybody want to say anything tonight? Well, thank you for coming. Okay, the next item is questions and concerns of board members, and I'm going to start tonight and just kind of go over some things that came in your packet. And these are also some things that Danielle, John, and I received at the County Association School Board meeting that we went to. You should have received an application for membership. They are looking for 2 more executive board members for the Wayne County Association of School Boards.
I don't think we can do it. I thought,
You know, I have to look at the.
I think
the
Mr.,
bylaws.
what's Ken's name, last name?
Timberland.
I think he said you can only have 1 board member from a district on the executive board.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he said we
Okay.
have Danielle.
And we have Danielle, so,
So
okay.
I won't believe we can
Right.
ask him again, but yeah, I think you can only have 1 per
Per
district.
district, okay. I stand corrected then. The other item is, there was a copy of the form for the school board awards ceremony and dinner. Some of us have already RSVP'd. If anybody is interested, you need to get with Anna by April 10th so she can get your reservation in. The awards dinner is on Thursday, May 1st at 6 p.m. at Lincoln Park High School. And it's a nice ceremony. We have dinner and then they give out the awards to everybody. It's a quick get-together, but, I mean, everybody at least gets acknowledged, and then they take pictures. So it was a nice event last year. The other item in your packet was, this is something that Kathy Mary occasionally sends to us, and you can also get it online also. It's from Tri-County Alliance, and it's a guide to all the educational legislation that's out right now. That some of it's in House, some of it's in Senate, and kind of where the status of it is at this point. They kind of went over some of these at our meeting, and like I said, you can also get access to this online anytime you want an updated copy. But I just kind of wanted to bring everybody's attention to it. We also got a letter from the National School Board Association. They're launching a national campaign to promote public education, and actually Jennifer, what was her last name? Smith?
It was Smith.
Yeah, from MASB kind of told us a little story about this, which was pretty interesting. Actually, I don't know if anybody remembers Steve McQueen, the director of 12 Years a Slave. At the Academy Awards, they're saying that he had a red band around his arm, like a bracelet, one of those red band bracelets. And the reason he had that red band at the Academy Awards that night was because he had come into town and had talked to somebody from the National School Board Association about working on a project where they're going to take the movie 12 Years a Slave and apply curriculum to it and make it available to upper high school level students. And he's on board with that and also on board with promoting the public education. So therefore, he got this red band to start this Stand Up for Public Schools. And so there's a small letter in your packet from National School Boards about this national campaign that they're starting. And they can't even talk. They have also launched a website, which is www.standup4publicschools.org. And it's to highlight the success of public education. So I just kind of wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. And the Michigan Public Schools Partnership is also partnering up with this also. And there was a copy of that also in your packet. We also had, at your place today, you also received the application for the middle school for the Romulus Bulldogs 5K charity run. This is, I believe, your sign-up sheet. The day of the race is May 3rd. Registration is from 7:30 to 8:30 at the Romulus Middle School's track, and the race begins promptly at 9 a.m. There's a pre-race packet pickup, and there is an entry fee, and it's a fundraiser. Funds are being raised to help the Romulus Animal Shelter and students in need at Romulus Middle School. It's $20 for adults before April 25th and $25 after April 25th and the day of the race. And then for students, it's $15 before April 25th and $20 after April 25th and the day of the race to participate. Also on the order form, there's a spot there for you to order t-shirts too. And if there's any questions, you can contact Anthony Halisco at 532-1761 or Kelly Kubani at 734-532-1762. And then on a personal note, I participated also on Wednesday evening, and Chris Wygant is also in support of this. He's working with our Wayne County Parent Advisory Committee and also with the Wayne County RCN, which is a regional collaborative network. That the regional collaborative network is part of START, and START is one of the state initiatives for autism training and research. And what we're trying to do is set up community conversations with people, and we had invited, each district was allowed, we sent out invitations to community members, to businesses. There are some businesses in Livonia that are hiring students with disabilities to work in their businesses as part of their job skills training. But we're trying to get more employers involved and just to at least give our students with disabilities a chance to work in their companies. They'll find out that a lot of them are actually very good employees, they're very loyal, they're very rule-abiding, and just to give them an opportunity. And so we had a discussion with these partners on things that employers can do. We did a lot of brainstorming and kind of came up kind of what their concerns were, and so that we can go back and look at them and kind of figure out a way to put these pieces together. So we're hoping that in the future, Mr. Wygant's also going to give us an opportunity to do a small podcast or type of advertisement about these community conversations, and we're hopefully going to get them put up on I don't know if it's going to be on Reese's website, and then we'll be allowed to put them on our websites too, but kind of encouraging the community to support youth with disabilities. So it was really interesting, and we had a really good turnout, and we were really pleased. So I just kind of wanted to share that with everybody, and that's all I have for tonight. So, Mrs. Funderburg?
Mine always goes blank. I know our career college decision day is coming up. They're starting to plan for that, so as soon as I get the date and the time, I'll bring that to the board. And that's pretty much it. We had our meeting at Wayne Risa with, I want to say it's the lady from MASB.
Jennifer Miller?
Yes. I'm sorry,
Is it Jennifer Miller?
No.
from MASB,
Oh.
the young lady who gave us the school aid budget, and,
Jennifer Smith.
Yeah,
Jennifer Smith,
Jennifer
okay.
Smith, and,
She's the assistant.
I
She was
guess
formerly Miller.
it was really, I can't say that it was encouraging because you don't really always know what the state of Michigan is up to. It's an election year. A lot of times they promise us the moon and the stars, and then as soon as they get elected, they, backpedal on what it is that they said that they were going to try to do in support of education. But I do hope that they at least real strongly consider simplifying the categoricals because, to make districts jump through hoops to get dollars to educate our kids, to me, is just crazy. And not that I want them to, they're giving me a handout, but that's kind of how you feel sometimes, like they're, handing you, like your charity case, and you get tired of that. And so hopefully they really strongly consider simplifying those categoricals. But then also too, if you're out there listening, contact our senators and our House Representative, Doug Geis. This is his last year. Let them know they've always been very strong advocates for us and worked tirelessly, making sure that we get what we need. And, just give them an attaboy and a pat on the back because they really do work on our behalf. And be thinking about who we want to put in the office for this fall coming up in November for that House Representative seat. That's it for me.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
My turn?
Your turn.
I just want to do a save the date. It's for the American Progressive Association, APA, for July 25th, 26th, and 27th. It's the Romulus Community Festival. It was formerly known as the Jones Sub Festival Reunion. So they will have vendor booths available. It'll be a talent show, activities, and entertainment. So if you would like to participate in that or you want to get a booth, contact Carolyn Jones, 313-485-1312. That's it. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Thied?
Just to follow up on the charity run, I registered U5 under Team John, so bring me one of those medals. That's all I got. Don't let me down. U5 is Team John. Bring me one of those. You guys are all there.
how that's gonna go.
We're not even going to let him expound on that, Mrs. Crowe.
Tomorrow night is Student of the Month, 6 o'clock at the high school. And I'd like to ask for an April calendar so that I can sort of schedule what I can squeeze in.
You should have just gotten an email, because I printed mine off with all the school events on it. Margie sent one to all of us. Yeah, it was about a week ago.
Yeah, it was Thursday or Friday.
Thursday? Okay, sorry.
Thursday or Friday.
Can I just
I
get a
printed
copy?
Yeah, cause you,
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
I can run a copy of what I
Yeah.
have, because I
it's
printed
right
it
here.
out.
It came out on,
Miss Bowles?
nope, I don't have anything.
And I just want to make one more announcement before we adjourn. Also, March 27th from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. is Romulus's Kindergarten Roundup.
Except that it's 12 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Sorry, I'm going what's on the
What?
thing here.
27th.
That's right.
March 27th at Corey Elementary.
12 p.m. to 6 p.m. is the Kindergarten Roundup. If you have a child that's ready for kindergarten, please bring them to that. There's going to be some booths, there's some gifts and giveaways, there's snacks for the kids. It'll give you an opportunity to meet some of the principals and some of our staff. We ask that you bring their birth certificate and 3 pieces of residential ID that you live in the city. And it should be a good time. We had a good time last year. We did it as a cowboy theme, and we're all ramped up and ready to go. So hope to see everybody out there.
Is there a theme this year?
Cowboy.
It's cowboy theme, yeah.
Roundup.
Roundup. Yes.
Makes sense.
The next item is adjournment.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Support.
Motion made by Ms. Funderburg, supported by Mr. Thied. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Meeting is adjourned at 6:59.